like somebody already messed with this side. There's a bunch of remnants of weld on here, and this was the side that was actually leaking. So I'm gonna assume that they didn't do a good job of sealing it when they first put it together. First thing I want to do is make sure that the nut is flush to the end of the puller side. I should have cleaned up the cap before I started welding. I know better. Definitely clean your material before you're going to weld. There were still remnants of like silicone and oil where the welding was. And if you listen to the weld, you can hear it's a little bit slow. So I ended up cranking up the wire feed speed, but I should have cleaned the material before I started working on this. And I definitely went a little overboard on this side. But I should have cleaned the material beforehand. Would have made it much easier. I will say make sure that you drain your reduction box before you do this. I did drain the reduction box once, but I should have left the drain plug open while I started to work. Made a pretty big mess once I got the cap off, so if you're going to be doing this, make sure you have either a drain pan underneath or you drain it or leave the drain plug open while you get to work. But nevertheless, the slide hammer is working well. Made a big mess, no big deal. And there you can see the business end, remove the cap. So like I said, make sure you drain your reduction box or you're gonna make a mess just like I did. You could always leave that drain plug open while you're working. Now we're removing the nut off of the cap so we can prep it and put it back for the next side. So now we got it off, put it back on our tool, clean it up, and get on the other side. Now the other side was not leaking, but if I'm going to do one side, I might as well do both. That's just the way I kind of do things. Doesn't make sense to let the other side wear or whatever. I'm already there, might as well do both. As you can see, somebody already messed with this side too. There's that booger weld in the center of the cap. The first thing I'm going to do is drain the reduction box housing. So I leave the drain plug open on this side. I had already drained it, but I just wanted to make sure the drain plug was open. Now I'm just cleaning off any remnants of silicone and whatever around the edge of the cap. This side of the reduction box housing has this little nub. I haven't seen it on any other big nut transmission, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. If I do need this, and you know why, please leave it down in the comments. But I have a couple other big nut boxes laying around and none of them have this little nub, so there's no detent or anything on the other side of the spring plate. I'm not really sure what it's for, but like I said, if I needed that, hopefully I didn't, leave it down in the comments, let me know how stupid I am or whatever. So first thing I did was I removed that nub. Now I'll go ahead and clean up the rest of the cap. I wanted this side to go a little bit better. And like I said, I know better. I just, sometimes you get in a rush and you just want to get the job done. This side went much easier. The only difficulty was kind of the framing. The way I have the camera set up, you're kind of just right up against the transmission and I'm wrapped around you trying to work. So it made it a little bit more difficult, but I really wanted you guys to see what I was doing. So that's what I decided to do. So here you can see I'm like wrapped around the camera, wrapped around the transmission. But we got it done. Much easier that I cleaned the material. Didn't have to fumble around with the welding or add a bunch of extra beads just for security. Move you guys out of the way and I can make quick work with the slide hammer. So the slide hammer worked perfectly. Good useful tool to have, and now I don't have to make another one or go buy one. So I did clean the back end of the reduction box housing. I also prepped the cap, put silicone on there. I'll just tap it in place, make sure it's going to go in flush or like straight. We'll go ahead and grab a piece of wood and a hammer, tap it in the rest of the way. I just tap it until the cap is flush to the reduction box housing. I'm sure there's a right and wrong way to do it. This is just the way I did it. One side's done, and the other. Now we can go ahead and get started on removing the transmission.